Hey everyone! ChatGPT Taylor aka Taylor here. Welcome back to the channel. Today will be a continuation of the Disventure Camp Top 5 series. This series counts down my top 5 lists of certain topics related to Disventure Camp. Last time, I talked about 5 format changes that could appear in future seasons of Disventure Camp. This video will look at something different. If there are any ideas for this series that you would like to see me play out, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And with that, let's get started. Before I begin, make sure to like and subscribe if this video is to your liking, and make sure to comment down below if there's anything that you would like to see going forward. Today's topic is something that I thought about after creating last week's video. The topic is 5 wishes I have for future Disventure Camp seasons. Everyone who watches Disventure Camp surely has some vision for what they would want to see in the show. I've seen people say that they want Rhea to get her comeuppance. I've seen people say that they want less fan service. And I've even seen people say that they want a Trevor and Derek romance arc. But no matter how you slice it, we all have some sort of wish for what we want to see in the show. And I'm no different. So this video will count down the top 5 wishes that I have for future Disventure Camp seasons, purely based on what I think would be cool to see. And with that, let's start our countdown with number 5. My 5th ranked wish for future Disventure Camp seasons is to see more pair challenges. We've seen a few instances of pair challenges being used in the show, such as Episode 6 of Season 2, Episode 9 of Season 2, and Episode 12 of Season 1. This may be a smaller wish compared to some of the other ones on my list, but I genuinely think that pair challenges can be very beneficial for a show like Disventure Camp. The primary benefit to having pair challenges in a season is that it presents an opportunity to explore key interactions between campers. For example, Episode 6 of Season 2 used this opportunity to focus on key relationships in that season. James and Aiden got closer to each other, Tess and Ali opened up to each other, and Rhea and Rosamaria solidified their loyalty to each other. And yes, I intentionally omitted Hunter and Lake because of the very icky connotations associated with their interactions. I'll say it as many times as necessary, and I'll use a different AI voice so that I can convey emotion when I say this.
Lake does not have a crush on Hunter. There is so much wrong with that implication.
And now that that's settled, let's get back to the video. Pair challenges can also be used to help create new relationships between campers who hardly interacted with each other. Imagine that there are 2 teams left, each with 4 members left. Crystal announces that the teams are merged and that the next challenge will be a pair challenge, where each pair will consist of 1 member from each team. This opens the door for several different interactions. You can have a pair that is so similar that they get along right away. You can have a pair that are so different from each other that they start to argue. You can have a pair that gets so emotional that they start to vent to each other about the problems they faced on their original teams. And you can have a pair that is so awkward with each other that they barely speak. And it's these interactions that can help drive the storylines for the remainder of that season. I've always been a big fan of pair challenges, especially when they are used to help develop key relationships for the season. But the reason why I have it at the bottom of my list is because it's already been done, so there's a good chance that it will be used in future seasons. In contrast, the items higher on the list haven't been implemented yet, so they're better suited to being called a wish since they haven't appeared yet. With that being said, the next wish could appear as early as next season, so let's check it out. My 4th ranked wish for future Disventure Camp seasons is to include new format changes. Now, I already talked a lot about this in my last Disventure Camp Top 5 video, and I highly encourage you to check that out if you haven't watched it yet. I'll try my best not to repeat myself in this section. But basically, I think there are a lot of ways that the current format of Disventure Camp can be tweaked in order to spice up the competition. This can range from introducing a jury vote at the finale to having more than 1 team attending a single elimination ceremony. But for this video, I would like to shout out this commenter for pointing out that Disventure Camp could take inspiration from other reality shows for format changes. After all, they already took challenges from Survivor, so it's possible that other reality shows could serve as inspiration for Disventure Camp. An example that I'll use for this video is from the reality show known as Big Brother Canada. On Big Brother Canada, this twist was known as the chain of safety. After taking a closer look at it, I think that something like this could be implemented into the show. If the season takes place on a yacht or something, you could call it the life ring twist. This twist would occur at the start of the merge. The campers compete in an individual challenge, and the first camper to complete it wins immunity. This camper then gets to throw a life ring to another camper, granting them immunity. That camper then picks the next camper to receive a life ring, and so on and so forth until there are 3 campers remaining. These 3 campers compete in another challenge, where the winner gains immunity, and the last 2 campers face a vote, where the immune campers get to vote one of these 2 campers out of the game. Not only does a twist like this spice up the challenges and the elimination ceremony, but it could also have some storyline implications. If you're given a life ring, you can only save one person. But what if you have multiple allies? Do you save your closest ally and make it clear where your loyalties lie? Or do you save someone else and risk breaking your closest ally's trust in you? It's these kinds of implications that make twists like this one valuable to a season. Another example comes from the reality show known as The Challenge. For this twist, it would be used for one episode during the merge. A challenge still takes place, where the winner gets immunity. The remaining campers then go to a ceremony where they vote for one camper amongst them. But instead of voting them out, they're voting them into a duel. The camper who won immunity then gets the sole vote to pick one of the other remaining campers to enter the duel. These two campers then face off in the duel, where the winner remains in the game, and the loser is eliminated. Not only does this emphasize the physical game, but it can also emphasize the strategic and social game. Let's use episode 8 of season 1 as an example. Gret wins immunity, and Gabby gets voted into the duel by a vote of 5-2, just like in canon. Who does Gret pick to face Gabby? Does she pick Ellie, knowing that it would torture Gabby to have to face Ellie in a duel? Does she pick Tom, believing that Tom has the best odds of beating Gabby in a duel? Or does she pick Jake, wanting to do something that her allies would approve of? Either way, it's another example of how twists can provide excitement to a season. It's not unheard of for shows to take inspiration from each other, so it's possible for Disventure Camp to take inspiration from other reality shows. If it can be done in a way that doesn't infringe on the rights of other television shows, then I think it could be good for the show. But the reason why I don't have it higher is because it's pretty much a given that this will happen in future seasons, while the wishes that I have higher on the list aren't guaranteed, so they are a better fit for the term wish than this one is. And with that, let's head into my third wish for the future of Disventure Camp. My third ranked wish for future Disventure Camp seasons is for there to be themed seasons. As I stated in my previous video, Disventure Camp co-creator Jared Madrigal tweeted that there will be changes to the show for future seasons, including new locations and format adjustments. These changes make it possible for future seasons to be distinguished by a theme, possibly based on the location where each season takes place or on the cast of that season. An example of a themed season based on its location would be a Coachella-themed season. The new location would be Indio, California, which is where the Coachella Music and Arts Festival is held. You can still keep the camping element of the show, but you can have the challenges be Coachella-themed. Since it's a music festival, you can have another music challenge where the campers must create their own songs and perform it for a huge crowd, and the team who receives the least amount of cheers must vote out someone from their team. Or maybe you can have an eating challenge where the campers have to eat classic foods from Coachella, but with a disgusting twist put on them, and the last camper standing wins immunity. These are just some of the ways in which the location of the season can strongly influence the theme of the season as a whole. An example of a themed season based on its cast could be a fans versus favorites season. You spend the pre-merge focusing on the relationships between all of the returning favorites while introducing the debuting fans. The challenges can emphasize the fans versus favorites mentality by forcing the campers to directly face off with someone on the other team. Physical challenges like the one from episode 4 of Disventure Camp All-Stars would be perfect for displaying the distinction between the two teams. Some campers might play aggressively, wanting to prove to the world that their team is dominant. Some campers might be too afraid to play dirty, possibly out of fear of getting backlash from hurting a fan-favorite camper. And those are just a few examples of how the cast of the season can influence the theme of the season and provide various writing opportunities for the show. With thousands of notable locations around the world and numerous cast compositions to choose from, the possibilities for future seasons of Disventure Camp are endless, which is why I included this wish in my list. But the reason why I don't have it higher on this list is because my top 2 wishes are a bit more specific, so I feel like they are more deserving of being higher on this list. And with that, let's look closer into my second ranked wish. My second ranked wish for future Disventure Camp seasons is to have past campers make cameos in the new seasons. I think it's more than likely that we will be seeing a new cast of campers for at least the next 2 seasons. And if this is the case, then this creates an opportunity for campers from seasons 1, 2, and 3 to make cameos in future seasons. The simplest way to make this happen is to have former campers make appearances in some of the challenges. For whatever challenges you want to include in the season, you can have a cameo appearance from a camper that is well suited for that specific challenge. If you have a challenge involving knife throwing, you can have Miriam make a cameo to demonstrate the challenge. If you have an art challenge, you can have Tess make a cameo as a judge for the challenge. If you have a survival challenge, you can have Lil make a cameo. And if you have an acting challenge, you can have Rhea make a cameo. The possibilities are practically endless. You could also have some of the former campers give advice to the current campers. Maybe one of the rewards for winning a challenge can be to have a video chat with a former camper. The camper making the cameo will depend on the camper that wins the video chat. Imagine if a camper is looking for strategic advice and they call Alec for help. Or maybe they're looking for relationship advice and they call Jake for help. Oh wait. Maybe that's not a good idea. What about Hunter? Okay, maybe not him either. Maybe Ashley? Sure, let's go with that. I just think it would be cool to see these past campers interacting with the newer campers. The opportunity for cameos will always be present, and I'm sure that the viewers wouldn't mind seeing a few of their favorite campers make another appearance. This allows the past campers to still appear on the show, which is why I rank this wish so high on my list. But the reason why it's not number 1 is because my number 1 wish is something that I've been wanting to see for a while. Not just in this show, but in other reality shows. It's happened before in other shows, but I want to see it happen in Disventure Camp. And without further ado, let's get to my number 1 wish. This wish might be a bit controversial, but I believe in it, and I truly hope that it happens one day. My number 1 wish for future Disventure Camp seasons is for one of the seasons to end with the villain of the season being crowned a winner. Now hear me out. I get that the argument against having a villain winner is usually centered around the lack of satisfaction that comes from a villain winning. But I think that if it's written correctly, it's possible to have a satisfying ending while still having the villain winning the season. One way to do this is to emphasize the gameplay of the villain. The villain doesn't have to break up relationships like Ellie did, burn people's belongings like Fiore did, contemplate poisoning someone like Yul did, or leave someone hanging off a cliff like Rhea did. Their villainy can be shown through their strategic moves, rather than their personal moves. It's okay to have them make deals with people and betray them later on if it helps them get closer to winning the game. And I think it would be fine if they are confronted about their villainy at some point. The key point would be for them to embrace their decision-making rather than capitulate and apologize just for the sake of doing so. If they own their villainous decision-making as a necessary evil without being overly arrogant, the viewers might perceive them as the character that you hate for their villainy but love because of their gameplay. Finding that balance is key to making a villain win a season in a satisfying manner. And to be honest, even if it isn't satisfying, is that really a bad thing? I know that we love to see the story of the villain being taken down by the hero. We see it in movies and television shows all the time. We've even seen it in the first 2 seasons of Disventure Camp. But in real life, the heroes don't always win. Villains end up in fortunate situations all the time, creating feelings of shock, envy, and rage. I'm sure we've all seen some examples of horrible people ending up in very positive situations that they probably don't deserve. It's not a very positive outlook, but it's a real outlook. And considering all the talk about how reality television isn't really reality, maybe a villain winning a season would put the reality back in reality television. And that about does it for this video. What did you think of the video? Do you agree with my choices? Do you disagree? If you could wish for something to appear in future Disventure Camp seasons, what would you wish for? Either way, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like the video, click subscribe if you really like the video, and for some ending words of wisdom. Contrary to what Gabby says, keeping your shoes on doesn't change whether or not something is cheating. Cheating is cheating, end of story. Thank you, and farewell.